Yes, let's do that. Let's do exactly that.
Oh, you know what I should have worn today? I have Santa Claus pajamas. I should have worn those for the Christmas episode.
You would have got warm though.
Yes.
It would have been warm.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a Christmas episode. I thought about wearing something Christmassy, but Star Wars.
Indeed. The Star Wars was more important. All right, guys, this is the sound check portion. How do we sound? Please let us know.
Tom, he's the Italian Christmas donkey. What? Who's the Italian Christmas donkey?
That's a song.
Oh, I know, but isn't that or
it's that boopity bop hee-haw hee-haw.
I fucking hate
the
that
Christmas
song.
donkey.
Can we just talk about how much I just do not like Christmas music? We'll save it for the show.
Well, I think you've kind of told that story before, going back to your days working in the Christmas shop. The what was it, the Beach Boys Christmas?
Beach Boys Christmas, which I bought that fucking album. I have the LP of that just to make sure that I'm constantly being tortured. I told you I got my record player working, right?
No, well, last I heard it was broke.
Yeah, I put a new cartridge on it. Fucking worked. It cleared up the channel issue because there was a channel out. Apparently, it was all in the cartridge. So
sweet.
I need to I think Scott Rasmussen. Hey, speak of the devil. Hopefully everyone's okay, Mr. I was in urgent care.
Yeah,
listening to our podcast.
Yeah.
He has like multiples. That way, in case something happens to it, then he can fucking get them hot swapped out. Oh, I'll have to remember that because they're not expensive, but it's like, I think for mine it's like $27, $30, something like that.
Yeah, it's not the worst.
All right, so we hit all our notifications.
Yep.
Hey,
at least one person said we sound good.
Shingles are the worst. It is the worst.
Yeah, give her our best. That's.
I can tell you that I had it on my head, and it's so after one of my knee surgeries, right? My immune system dropped out, and I had like this pain on the side of my head, like when the wind would go through my hair, that little bit, and I had shorter hair at the time because it wasn't completely buzzed, but it was real short.
Yeah.
For being in the unit, and when the breeze would touch my hair, it would be like I'm being electrocuted.
Shit.
And I was like, what the fuck is happening? So after like 2 days of that, I'm in the flight dock, and this dude, you probably had him once or twice. He was like a heart surgeon, right? Some lieutenant colonel, didn't give a fuck about any of the military shit. He's a reservist, in there. So he's in there. He's asking me a bunch of questions. And he's looking. He's like, okay, well, let me go get somebody, right? So he goes, leaves the unit, comes back with some fucking young lieutenant, right? And he's like, okay, here's what he's presenting. What do you think it is? So she starts asking me questions, right? And she has no fucking clue what it is. I have no fucking clue what it is, right? So after about 15 minutes of Q&A, finally he's like, oh, it's shingles. And she's like, oh. And
so he knew, but he was more testing her.
Yeah, he was testing her. And I'm sitting there going, like, what the fuck, guys? It was, thankfully, I got it early enough, like before, because it was real red. Like you can get like that's really hardcore, like eczema almost, where your skin, but it was only one half of my head. It was like this side,
weird,
nothing, but on this side. We'll save that for Christmas vacation. But yeah, it was awful, and it was because I had surgery. My immune system had dropped out, and the chickenpox vaccine the chickenpox that I had stays dormant in you,
right?
And it just ramped up. I had it twice. I had shingles twice.
Fuck.
Yeah, both times. It was horrific. So Kim, I feel for you. I really do. Hopefully they got you on some antivirals and some steroids that'll help feel a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
Boppada.
Yeah. Well, we ready to get started?
Yes.
Knock this out as quick as possible so I can have at least an hour of my birthday to myself. All right. So yeah, we'll do the typical intro and we'll make it happen.
All right, ready?
I am. From a Gen X point of view is brought to you today by
Podbelly.com. I have a piece of paper here that's had stuff on it. Woohoo! Look at that. Look at how prepared I am for the Podbelly read today.
Awesome.
I
Good
actually
job.
printed out
Wow.
the card that I always forget. And
now he has it forever.
I have it it'll be here forever. It'll go amongst the pile of sacred papers.
The sacred papers.
There you go. So podbelly.com, you know what, something I was looking at today, getting ready for the podcast, and went on podbelly.com and looked, there's actually some really, really good just information for your podcast there on podbelly.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can link to your Instagram site. It'll link you to your Facebook page, your YouTube channel. Like all of it is when you go to podbelly.com and go to one of the network members, like for example, Art and Jacob Do America. And you open them up and you'll see a description that talks about the never-ending road trip conversation about an array of topics by 2.5 Mexicans. That's what they have on their description, folks. I didn't make that up. They discuss everything from sports, politics, music, movies, and conspiracies, and the supernatural. A podcast cornucopia, if you will. And you can go there. You can listen to their podcast right from the podbelly.com website, or you can connect to one of the many podcasting apps that they're presenting on. You can do this. And you can also do that from a Gen X point of view. Go to our site from podbelly.com. It'll link you to our YouTube channel that hopefully you're watching right now. And you're liking and subscribing and sharing.
Yeah, subscribing is a big part of that because we need subscriptions. We need it.
Jason will suck your dick.
I will suck your dick for a subscription.
Yes, we need to bust through that 100 level hump. And then once we get that, we can get our URL squared away and it'll be great.
Yeah,
it will be.
So that's it for the Podbelly spiel?
It is.
All right, very good. So what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about your birthday.
Oh, yes. Sure.
No, not really. It's just this is podcast number 2 for us today. And on both of these podcasts, it just happens to be Jason's birthday. So happy birthday, Jason.
Oh, thank you.
I will say it again.
It's not every day you turn 28.
That's factually correct.
Yeah, and it's certainly not today for me.
But yeah, other than that, this is something that we've been building up for a couple weeks for the show today. It's Christmas time. Christmas is in less than a week.
Yeah, 4 days.
4 days. Holy fuck. How does sidebar? So you're a Christmas baby, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So has your birthday affected your Christmas day? Like, as far as presents, stuff like that goes?
Oh, yeah. So not really from my parents. Like my mom was always very adamant about keeping my birthday and Christmas separate.
Right.
Though she does love to tell the story about how I came home in a Christmas stocking. You know, they didn't put me in a baby blanket. They put me in a fucking stocking and shipped me home.
That's funny.
So she loves telling that story. But from her, no, that was always a separate thing. But from a lot of family members, I can specifically remember some aunts and uncles being like, oh, this is your Christmas and birthday present.
Right.
Happy birthday, Merry Christmas.
My God, fuck you.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I was never really that mad or bitter about it. It was just always the way it was.
Right.
So, but for me growing up, it made this season just that much more special. Because my birthday is so close to Christmas, it was like the whole month of December was just fucking great. Nice. Right. It's a lot of time out of school, my birthday, and then right after my birthday is fucking Christmas. That's one of the reasons why I've always just really loved the Christmas season. Whereas when I meet people like Kristen or like you who talk a lot of shit about the Christmas season, I'm like, I don't get it, man.
Yeah. Well, we don't have that. We don't have an experience of looking forward to it like you do.
Yeah.
And it's a great perspective.
Mm-hmm.
You think about it with, like you said, the time off and everything else, the movies.
Yeah.
Just kind of segue today we're going to talk specifically about A Christmas Story.
Yep.
a classic,
indeed,
for Christmas, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which
another classic.
And we're going to do some comparison shopping between the two of them.
Yeah.
Which one? I think ultimately I want to determine which one is the better Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about those two movies in the spirit of Christmas and everything else. Two movies that are super well known. What I want right now, though, is for those of you in the chat, I want to make sure that we keep some sort of tally in the chat. After we've made our arguments at the end, I'm going to ask from the studio audience which one is the better movie in their mind.
Sure.
And then we'll get that perspective for those of you in the chat. Another benefit to subscribing to From a Gen X Point of View podcast on YouTube.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. Fair enough. Just looking at our notes real quick. We got some 5-star reviews on Audible, apparently.
That's right. Yeah.
So, first of all, where did you find these? Because I've never looked at our show on Audible before.
So I could tell that you could leave a review when I was looking at the app, but I actually went on the desktop, put in Audible, and you can link to it on our YouTube page. You can actually link to the Audible site where it'll show our podcast, and then you can leave a review right there. And it'll actually has like the review markers. Right now we have 2 5-star reviews.
Excellent. And as we've set the precedent, even going back to our last podcast, if you leave us a 5-star review, wherever it be it iTunes, now fucking Audible, you can leave us a review on Facebook. You can review us on YouTube.
Yep.
If you leave us a 5-star review, we will read your review verbatim. You don't even have to talk about the podcast. You can talk about what you were doing last week, but we will read it verbatim no matter what.
Or you can talk about some other things that we're going to get ready to read here.
Yes. So we've got 2. So I'm going to start, right? Because I'm going to read this first one.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the podcast you've been looking for with a wavy hand from This Is the Way.
That was the name of the person. They didn't have their name. It just said This Is the Way. That was their name.
Gotcha. Okay. Are you Generation X? Are you looking to reminisce about the things that made you a Gen Xer? Star Wars tickle your nethers? Do you want to know more? Dave and Jason will make it so you look no further. This podcast is fun, informative, and will have you chatting along with the live on YouTube. Along when live on YouTube. Reading is fundamental. Monday evenings. Great time and a couple of great guys, fucking right, talking about what we love. This is the way.
This is the way.
So thank you from This Is the Way.
Yes, excellent. And I'm not sure, Sean Roberts, I don't want you to read it. I want you to SMD. I'm not 100% sure what he means by that. I don't know. Are you This Is the Way? I doubt it. Anyway.
So you're going to read the next one?
I'm going to read the next one. Regrettably, we have the representative of Admiral Haldo is my favorite character.
This is the title of the review, by the way.
From Thomas Richard Jensen. It's appropriate that his middle name is Richard. Richard. I like purple hair. I like the purple hair lady. Laura Dern is my favorite actress. I don't necessarily have an issue with Laura Dern. Like Laura Dern in Jurassic Park, I think was great. But that's it. I read the review. I'm done with it. Fuck.
But thank you, Thomas Richard Jensen.
Yes.
We do appreciate the 5-star review.
We do appreciate the 5-star review, and you put whatever you put in there, we will read. And if you want me to read any character, you have to actually be specific about that.
Yep. So this is the point in the show where we go and talk about our week. Yes. So you ready to move on?
Yeah.
We mentioned this in the previous podcast that we did, but just to hit on it again, we are at the almost end of the Sidebar Cantina Fantasy Football League with us and a lot of our listeners. Dave and I are playing against each other in the playoffs, the semifinals, and it's down to the wire. We got one guy. Everything rides on one Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. Depending on how well he does is going to determine which of us moves forward.
I hope in warm-ups he's already fucking snapped it. That would be the best day ever for me.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at the app today, so who the hell knows? But it'll be good, and we'll have the results next week, and one of us will be cheering, and the other one will be sad.
One of us is going to be playing for the championship.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
It is.
We got to bring the championship home.
That's right. If we had some sort of trophy or something, which I think we talked about doing last year, but then we
didn't. We talk about doing a lot of things that we end up not doing. Yeah. It's just that's our thing. It's what we do.
Yeah, indeed.
So moving on to my personal week. Hold on, let me just make sure I can see this. Oh, this thing right here. Yeah. So last night, this is strictly for the YouTube audience, by the way, I had more of my tattoo done. So you can see I did the forearm portion now. I'm going for the full tribal sleeve. I did the upper arm last month. Did the forearm today or yesterday. Got at least one more appointment scheduled. Debating if I'm going to wrap it around under the arm or not.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, dude, around the elbow here. Oh God.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking painful.
Yeah. It's between you and fucking Big Swede. I proven that I'm not going to get a tattoo in that area.
Yeah, but it's good, and I'm really happy with it. I have at least, like I said, one more appointment. I still want it to bleed more into the shoulder because it only goes up to like my upper arm right here. Mm-hmm. So I still want it to bleed into the shoulder, a little bit into my chest.
Right.
But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've been doing this week.
Yeah, it looks good, and it's the reason that we had to do double duty today because the plan was to do all things Star Wars yesterday,
right?
But somebody was in the chair.
Whoa! Hold on, no. Let's back it the fuck up because you threw me under the bus in the Facebook group yesterday.
Yes,
I didn't say anything. However, I knew if you were going to bring it up today, I was going to give you some shit because
of course I'm going to bring it up.
We were originally going to record before my appointment, but somebody decided to sleep in until like 10:30 in the fucking morning.
Well, somebody the day before was out in the 20-degree weather placing wreaths at a cemetery. So I had
a likely story.
I had a good reason to be tired and sore. But yes, we could have done it in the morning, but it would have been a shit show. Literally a shit show. So better that we did it today, even though it's Jason's birthday.
Right. But again, this responsibility does not solely sit on my shoulders.
Hashtag Jason's fault. No, hashtag blame Jason.
Whatever.
We need that trending.
So besides that, I'm sitting here thinking as you did the notes and I'm filling in my week, like, what the fuck else did I do this week? And I'm like racking my brain. Like, for some reason, I don't remember doing anything. And then it's like, oh yeah, we had this fucking nor'easter blow through.
Yeah.
Dumped a good 5 to 6 inches of snow on us, which is fine. I don't hate the snow as long as I don't have to drive in it. But the problem is the seasonal affective disorder, depression or whatever that we've talked about in the past. Right. The snow fell and I just immediately didn't want to do shit because it was fucking freezing outside. There was a ton of snow. My car was buried and I just didn't want to do anything. I didn't go to the gym for like 2 days. I didn't even go outside to like shovel snow. I didn't do anything. And I just kind of let it kind of bring me down a little bit between that and the cold. And I was very inactive for those first couple of days afterwards. And I could feel that like depression kind of starting to build up. And then I think it was Saturday. I had to like force myself to get out of bed. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you were going to get out of bed. You're going to go, scrape your fucking car off and you're going to go to the goddamn gym. And I did and was immediately glad that I did it. Yeah. Like I felt as I'm driving to the gym, I'm already feeling better about myself and everything else. And then, I have a really good workout and I'm like, fuck, why did I let this, stop me?
It's contrast theory, right? You needed that couple of days of like feeling like a sloth.
Yeah.
To appreciate when you get out there and get a good workout.
Mm. So. And it's, it's not even just about the working out. It was just about being active in general, and it's this cold weather really fucking does that to me sometimes. And I hate it.
When jokingly you say like when you go outside and the air hurts your face, like you just don't want to be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 100% like that. I mean, as I sit here in shorts, but we're in the studio. There's a little
and it's kind of warm today too.
Yeah, it got up into I think it might have hit 40 today.
Yeah, it feels warm compared to what it's been.
Yeah,
so
it's not in the mid-20s, thank God.
Yeah,
and thankfully we don't live up in the mountains where they're getting multiple feet of snow.
Yeah,
my daughter at State College, you would not believe the amount of snow they got. It was insane. I think they got like 2 feet.
Yeah, there were some places in Pennsylvania that got records, like record snowfall for that time of year.
And you forget that this is like today, right now. Jason's birthday is the equinox, right? So it is the winter solstice. Winter starts today.
Yeah.
The snow before that was fall. It was just like December snow. Really, it just puts into perspective because you think, oh, December, cold, white Christmas, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, very rarely do you get snow that early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
So to get that much snow, I agree with you, though. I don't mind having the snow. I just don't want to have to deal with the snow.
Yep.
And
it's a great way to put it. Yeah. So, but again, that happened to me and that it killed like 3 days of my week.
Yeah.
Just, stewing in the house about the snow and the cold and just not wanting to go out and do anything. So
you didn't play any video games or anything?
A little bit on my computer here and there, but
I think I played zombies nonstop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, we're teleworking, right? So I still teleworked. Yeah, unfortunately, teleworking is a real thing for me.
Yeah. But anyway, and that's really the
crux of it.
The crux of it. Yeah, that's my week in a nutshell.
Oh, you got some ink to prove that you did something.
Yes.
So
yeah. How about you?
So I didn't do much of anything either. I mean, yeah, I've been very sedentary. It's really, really hard. Like as we're talking about the seasonal affective disorder and the days being shorter and everything else, I appreciate that I have a lot more of my day because I'm not commuting.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the benefits of teleworking. I'm not spending 2 hours in a car a day. Usually both of those times in the dark.
Yeah.
Because of how short the days get. But that if I'm not going out and taking the dog out, or Kathy and I we haven't been going out as regularly as we had been. So I've been very sedentary, and it's tough. It's tough to get moving. Play a lot of Nazi zombies. I still love the zombies. There's a Christmas download for it. Oh, that's so much fun. But I had a doctor's appointment in the city, and I wanted to get out and fly the drone. I did.
Oh yeah.
So before I went,
this was like the day after the snowstorm.
It
right?
was. So I flew the drone out in the neighborhood, right, and I got some pictures or whatever. Then after the doctor's appointment, I went over to the art museum in Philly, and parked behind the art museum, and flew the drone like over the art museum and kind of like buzzed around the Schuylkill with the Boathouse Row and everything. I've been wanting to do it. So that was like one of the things I've been wanting to do since I got the drone.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to fly in that area because there was no less than 3 other drones that were flying at the same time I was.
Oh yeah.
Like getting similar shots because you see them all on Instagram. Like I follow all these Instagram guys that are posting drone pictures, and I'm like, I want to do that so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I was super excited to do it, and the snow was a really cool effect.
Yeah, like every one of those shots that you put on Instagram and everything looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, and I'm not a video guy. Dutch from Helmet Fire Productions. He's trying to get me more into doing a video, so I was using Camtasia to try and put a video together. I think I'll do some voiceover stuff or whatever for it. More of a do this, not that type video, because one thing that I'm flying the drone over the art museum, and I could see it. Like you see this little dot, right? It's supposed to be line of sight. I'm staying in the altitudes, and I could see it, and it disconnects. Like I look at the screen, it's fucking the drone's not connected. So what'll happen with these drones, at least with the Mavic drones, is after I think 11 seconds, if it doesn't reconnect, it'll come back.
Right.
So I'm sitting there looking at it, like looking at the screen, like, oh fuck. I mean, and if it was going to drop out of the sky, it would have been on the roof of the art museum, and thereby a permanent part of the fucking art museum. But it was taking video the whole time.
Oh, really?
So one of the cool things is like it's sitting there, and then it gets to return to home, and it's fucking swings around and comes back. And so I have the video of it actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Picking a signal back up, really, really fun. We were hot and heavy with the drone stuff, in the summertime because there's a lot of cool things. But the snow is definitely a neat effect for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Still need to get into the city, like flying around the skyscrapers.
Are you allowed to?
I don't. I have to research that. But people, dude, so many Instagram people, they're fucking buzzing drones around William Penn's fucking face.
Yeah,
dude. And I'm like, whatever. I'll try it once. Whatever. I'll pay a fine. I don't give a shit. I just want to be able to do it at least once. But
What I would want to do is just go to one of those office buildings and just like prop right outside somebody's fucking desk window. And just,
and they can't hear it because this fucking the drones are fairly quiet.
Yeah,
and you've that thick ass glass. They'd have no idea you were watching them.
Yeah, but then they like turn around and Jesus,
just a little fucking little eyeball staring at it.
Yeah.
No, I would never do that because that'd be infringing on somebody's privacy.
Oh, is that a rule?
There's rules, yeah. Like flying over people and shit like that. So I would never do that. However, it was fun. That's pretty much it. I did want to insert fucking a quick college football. Like college football's been kind of a big miss for us. Like Michigan's sucked ass and Jason's a pretend Michigan fan anyway. And college football has been really ravaged by the COVID stuff. They picked the basically the top 4 that are going to play for the national championship. And they picked fucking Notre Dame as one of the teams after they just lost to fucking Clemson.
How mad were you when you saw that?
There was people that were saying it was going to happen. And I really was just like, motherfuckers. What it shows this year is that this fucking secret committee of 13 people is not a fair representation of college football.
Yeah.
I mean, we were happy about it when it came from the BCS system, which Jason has no idea what that was.
I know what that was.
We're in the BCS system and we complained about the computer and everything else. Then we went to this committee and we're like, okay, cool. Well, at least now they're taking other factors into play. But now the committee, it's too involved to like who's deserving.
Right. There's too much emotional involvement.
Yeah. So like that's how Notre Dame ends up sneaking in there, which they're going to lay another giant egg. It's going to be an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Notre Dame, so I'm the wrong person to fucking advocate for anything like that. And I don't think Ohio State really should have been in that conversation either, playing 6 games. But what it does is it highlights the fact that we need to get away from it. We need a more legitimate play-in system that's going to involve other teams besides the Power 5 conferences, like teams like Boise State, teams like Coastal Carolina, teams like Cincinnati. Cincinnati goes undefeated, wins their conference, not even close to being in the conversation, and that's bullshit. Yeah. They should have an opportunity to play for it like anybody else. So hopefully, after they're going to use COVID as an excuse for this year, but hopefully coming out of this, they'll come up with something better so that the college football fan experience come this time of year, well, it'll be better represented.
So here's a question for you. In a perfect world where Dave Martin is the supreme leader and gets to make all of the decisions,
right?
What is the perfect college football playoff scenario for you?
I think you need a realistic, attainable scenario is you have an 8-team play-in. Okay. Basically, you're doubling it. So yeah, you're adding an extra week of games. You could still fit really well within the confines of what a bowl schedule is now, and it's very, very doable. And it'll allow other conferences that win their conference championships to actually have an opportunity to play into the system.
Okay, so how is the representation decided? How is it decided who gets in?
I think it's going to. I'd rather go back towards something like the BCS, where it was okay. Here's your strength of schedule. Here's you winning your conference championship. Here's you getting a spot into the system.
Okay.
Teams like Notre Dame, are you go into it undefeated? Okay, cool. But I don't think Notre Dame, from a strength of schedule standpoint, deserved to be in that conversation. Ohio State, I think Brinzer had texted that one of the voters had Ohio State at 11th, which is probably, from a talent perspective, is probably like lower than it deserves, but probably more realistic to how many games it played.
Right.
Especially because our conference, has been very lackluster, to say the least. And Penn State's already opted out. They could have played in a bowl game and they chose not to.
Wow.
Because of the COVID experience.
Right, because they would have played in front of nobody, right?
Well, they would have played in front of nobody. It would have been exposing the kids to several weeks more of isolation.
And at the end of the day, aren't the bowl games about making money?
It is 100%.
So
it's making money for the school. And you know what? If Penn State doesn't play in one and somebody else gets that opportunity, cool, good. I for one, the story, the kind of the story of the season has been with Coach Franklin. His daughter has a sickle cell, and they've been completely isolated from him. So they've been down in Florida. He's been up at State College like throughout this entire football season, since the summer. So he's been away from his family this entire time. And that situation and other kids, a lot of the seniors had graduated basically the day of the last game or the day before the last game of the season that they played. Which, by the way, with feet of snow in State College, apparently it was the latest game in December they've ever played in Beaver Stadium.
Yeah,
to a crowd of nobody.
So weird.
It's such a shame. But yeah, that's I think if Dave Martin was running things, you'd have an 8-team play-in. Okay. You have success with the tournament. You have the basketball tournament is wildly successful. I think you can build off of something very similar to that.
Yeah, like I can't stand basketball for the most part, and especially college basketball. But I hear about that fucking, the Final Four, Sweet March 16, Madness. March Madness.
Yeah, it's a huge part of it.
So yeah, why couldn't they generate some sort of buzz like that?
I don't know. But it's a weird year, man. It's with the college football and the NFL, with the way the playoff picture has been and everything, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Here's what I found.
That fucking watch again, man.
It's been really weird today.
What is it that she's responding to?
I don't know. I think I lean on it. Like when I'm moving my hands, I like hit the button or something.
Oh, okay.
And so she like kicks on.
Because I thought it was like cluing into some fucking some verbal cues or something.
Fucking twat.
Wow. Oh, I got a quick sidebar. This really has nothing to do with anything except for, I guess, Philly sports. Have you seen the movie Silver Linings Playbook?
I have.
Okay. Yeah, because it's streaming on Netflix right now.
Right.
It stars the two hottest people on the planet, by the way, Jennifer Lawrence and Bradley Cooper.
Right. Bradley Cooper's a huge Eagles fan. Well, he's an Eagles fan in real life.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's been in the booth with Jeffrey Lurie and the whole bit.
Oh, okay. Because, obviously it surrounds a family that are big Eagles fans. Right. And, they go to the link for one episode. And but yeah, I wasn't sure if you'd seen it, but I think about you every time I watch that movie.
I'll tell you, it's not one of my favorite movies, but
really?
It is aesthetically pleasing. And it's always fun to see the Eagles, portrayed like that. So it's a good movie. I'm not, I'd rather watch A Christmas Vacation fucking half a dozen times.
Fair enough. But yeah, sometimes you're just limited to what you can stream. So
fair.
Which, although, a great segue into the Christmas movies. Years ago, we cut the cord, right? We stopped our cable service because it was getting too expensive. We didn't use the shit. So we're like, we're fucking done. This was like summer of, I don't know, 2014, 2015, something like that. Christmas season rolls around, and all of a sudden I realize, fuck, I can't watch 24 Hours of A Christmas Story anymore.
It's on TBS, right?
TBS
for 24 Hours Christmas Story.
Yep. So I'm like, wait a minute. Go into the Apple store, because we've had an Apple TV for many years, and boom, there's A Christmas Story. I'm like, you know what, $10, fuck it, buy it, and now we have A Christmas Story forever. So I can do my own 24 Hours of A Christmas Story any fucking time I want.
There you go.
This year, we talk about doing this podcast. I was like, fuck, we don't have Christmas Vacation on DVD or anything. Go into the Apple store, boom, bought Christmas Vacation. So now we have them both forever.
Yeah,
so,
we actually in the house, we have both on DVD.
Yeah.
And I think we watched it most recently. Christmas Vacation was on a streaming service, but it was on there with commercials. It was really weird.
It had to have been like Hulu or something.
I thought it was Prime. It might have been Hulu though, because we have the Disney Plus with the Hulu and the ESPN Plus in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it may have been Hulu, but it was on. So fucking sat there and watched it. And it was before we decided to do the show, but it was appropriate for the timing.
Yeah, because,
and as we segue into this, I think you have A Christmas Story, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what it is, 24 Hours of Christmas Story on Christmas Day.
Yeah,
you have Christmas Vacation, which is more about the lead-in.
Yeah, the build-up, because it's even got the advent calendar throughout the course of the movie where they're opening the doors for the different days.
Exactly.
So yeah, but I mean, you could say really too in A Christmas Story they're building up to it because it's him wanting his Red Ryder BB gun.
Wow.
What?
Strong words coming out of the chat.
Oh, what? Who said? Wow. So
Strong
Solsky
words.
from the Escape Pod says, and I quote, "Fuck A Christmas Story."
Wow.
I mean, I can understand people who just may not like it, but fuck A Christmas Story. Like, did A Christmas Story do something to you? Show me on the doll where A Christmas Story touched you.
Maybe he shot
Done.
his eye out.
Oh, did you shoot your eye out? Do you have a glass eye? Is that what this is? Yeah, strong words, but I like it. Strong words right out the gate. So I don't really know how we want to do this as far as the breakdown goes, because we didn't really get into much detail in the notes. So we can run down some general specifics first. A Christmas Story came out in November of '83. So both of these are technically 80s movies.
Right.
Even though one was kind of early 80s, one was late 80s. Box office $20 million versus a $3.3 million budget, which at the time was probably a moneymaker. But from what I remember in previous research was that it was considered not really a flop, but just considered not to be a success at the time.
Right.
And it didn't really find its audience until it hit cable and syndication, and then especially the 24 Hours of a Christmas Story.
Right.
Versus Christmas Vacation, released December 1st of '89, so 6 years later, tail end of the '80s. And it was a budget of $25 million and ended up making $73 million. So really not that big of a turnaround, but also has a very strong cult following.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the cult-like following for both of these. I mean, I think is the reason. If we're gonna isolate two things about for Christmas, like I think the Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation are probably the best ones. I mean, you have your diehard outliers out there that are big into that. Then you have like the classic Christmas movies like Miracle on 34th Street, whatever version of that.
Yeah.
You have all different versions of Dickens fucking shit with Scrooge and everything else. You have,
which by the way, Scrooged with Bill Murray
was
great.
It's the best version in my mind. And you have movies like Jon Favreau's Elf movie, which is a classic in and of itself, but never seen it. You've never seen Elf?
It's been playing in the background in my house many a times, but I never really cared to actually watch it.
No shit.
It's got a very young Zooey Deschanel in it.
It does. It has a shower scene with Zooey Deschanel in it.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen it.
Snippets again, like my family has watched it while I've been in the room. But
are you not a Will Ferrell guy? Is that it?
I like the cowbell sketch. I liked Old School. I wouldn't call myself a Will Ferrell fan by any stretch.
Yeah, Elf. To me, Elf is it's a good movie. It is a funny, like young people can kind of buy into it, like because it's an adult being that kid character.
And I think that's what actually turned me off on it. Like when Elf came out, which I don't even know when did that come out? Like early 2000s?
Yeah, something like that.
Hold on, now we're going into a big sidebar here.
Jamie, fucking pull that up.
Yeah. So this came out in 2003. Okay, I had a 1-year-old at home, and seeing the promotional material that they made for this was just nothing but him being childish. Like the big spot in the commercials and the trailer were him doing that long belch, and that completely turned me off. I'm like, why? Why the fuck would I care about something like this? So yeah,
I think you're missing out. Honestly, I think if you sat down and watched it, you'd find that there's a lot more to enjoy it. What about Home Alone? Where do you land on Home Alone?
Oh, Home Alone's fantastic.
Okay,
I saw Home Alone in theaters when I was a kid. Like I remember my mom taking me and my brother and sister to go see Home Alone in theaters when it first came out, and it was fucking great.
Well, and Home Alone it's got John Williams. So of course it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, oh yeah. The music is a big part of it.
Yeah.
And obviously the absurdity of the whole thing. It's quite silly, but again, it's got its own cult following.
So, but we're not here to those are Christmas movies.
Yeah.
I think what else was brought in? The Muppets Christmas.
The Muppet Family Christmas, which is actually that's a staple in our house every year.
That's a solid Christmas movie.
Yeah, and we could do that as a separate episode some year if we wanted to. But yeah, that's a really good one.
But this to me epitomizes like you have A Christmas Story, which is in 1983 it came from a place of the 50s, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Christmas Vacation in 1989 took place in 1989.
Yes. And there's also another big difference with these two. And I think we might as well just throw this out there now. And it's the perspective, right? Because who are these stories being told from the perspective of in each movie? Because A Christmas Story, it's a kid, right?
It's Ralphie.
Yeah, it's Ralphie. So you're seeing everything from his perspective in a nostalgic look back of a way, because it's old Ralphie narrating,
right?
Basically what he remembers of this time, which is why you get so many exaggerated situations, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's from a kid's perspective.
Okay.
Leading into the Christmas season. What's Christmas Vacation?
Oh, it's from Clark.
Right. It's from Clark, the guy who I can certainly associate with, as I'm sure you can too, is the father, the family man, who's ultimately his entire motivation is just to have a good time with his family.
Right. Good old-fashioned family Christmas.
Right. And, you got to remember, too, this is the third movie in this series, because you had the first Vacation, you had European Vacation, and then Christmas Vacation was the third movie in the Vacation quadrilogy, which I liked Vegas Vacation. I know a lot of people trash that movie, but I'm
not a fan of Vegas Vacation. And honestly, I'm not a European Vacation guy either.
Yeah, that was kind of shitty.
The original Vacation movie came out in 83.
Yeah.
Right. So the character differences and everything else from watching Vacation to what Christmas Vacation is, night and day.
Yeah.
Like the only thing common to it really is Beverly D'Angelo and Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's a completely different thing, and Randy Quaid. Right.
Yeah.
Which let's face it, that Randy Quaid character.
Oh, I've got some notes.
It's fucking brilliant throughout the thing.
Well, and the thing is, like, for me at least, and I'm sure some other people that are in the chat can probably say the same thing. This was somebody in my family. Like, I actually have probably had a couple of family members who were this person. So yeah, it really hits close to home. But that's the thing that I wanted to lay out there as we're getting started, is that these movies are from two very different perspectives. There's the perspective of the kid, getting excited about the Christmas season and everything else, and really in a different time, versus the dad who's just trying to make the nice Christmas for his family. So preparing for this, I actually watched Christmas Vacation a couple days ago and I took notes.
Okay.
I meant to do it for A Christmas Story also. Didn't have time. And quite frankly, I've seen the movie like 300 fucking times. So I probably don't need to take notes. Whereas honestly, I haven't seen Christmas Vacation that many times.
No shit.
Yeah. I probably haven't even seen it 10 times in my entire life.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because I never disliked it, but nothing about it really gripped me until fairly recently.
Okay.
So we can talk about that as we go along. So I don't know if you want to kind of break down my notes for this, and then we can break down A Christmas Story. Like, how do you want to do this?
We could do Vacation first.
That's okay. And it starts off immediately with an original song, the Christmas Vacation song. So Christmas Vacation. And it starts off with a really cool opening animation with Santa. I don't understand.
This is what's first.
Oh. Sorry, this is the YouTube chat, by the way. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you really should, because you're missing all kinds of inside shit that you lose on the audio version.
Yes.
So really cool animation to open up this movie too, with Santa as he's trying to creep into the house and all kinds of bad shit's happening to him. A little slapsticky, but kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, this is Chevy Chase in his slapsticky prime.
Yeah.
Right. Everything in this movie involving him on the roof, in the fucking attic, just the slapstick is in your face and doesn't care. It doesn't hide the fact.
Yep. And written by John Hughes. I don't know if I never knew that, but it was kind of a surprise to me seeing it this time around. Like, oh, John Hughes wrote this. John Hughes, famous for The Breakfast Club,
right?
And all those
Breakfast Club, which we did episode what?
Something ago.
It was a few episodes ago.
Yeah. So, and then of course it starts with an homage to the first vacation where Clark and Ellen are singing in the car.
Right.
You know, they're driving to get their Christmas tree and they're singing Christmas carols and they're kind of harmonizing. And
so I'm going to put it out there now. I know every single word of this movie.
Do you?
I know every single word. Like, it's really, really obnoxious, actually. Like, when we were watching it this last time, I'm sitting there with Kathy. I could sing the song, how they sing it, with the inflection and everything else. It's a disease. It is so bad.
Yeah.
But this particular movie is something that was a staple growing up in the house. Like, when it showed up in the house in VHS, and then it just get played. The Christmas season would get played over and over and over again. So every single word. So if I break into some sort of song or I start saying shit, that's why. Fair warning.
Okay. Yeah, and then of course we have this very humorous car ride where he's kind of playing chicken basically with these assholes in a truck on the road.
Eat my road grit liver lips.
I did like the one scene where it was like, kids, look, a deer, and he flips the guy up. That was pretty funny. I got a good chuckle out of that one. And then of course they hit that ramp or whatever as they're going off the road and they're flying, and boom, they land in the lot. Oh, it made good time.
So we had a 1989 Ford Taurus. Like,
was it the wagon like that?
We didn't have the wagon,
okay,
but we had that fucking car.
Yeah,
which it's just one of those things. In the first vacation, the family truckster, like we had I think it was a 1970 something Ford Gran Turismo, which was basically, it was that green fucking color. It was the family truckster.
Nice.
So I had that, and then later we had the fucking 1989 fucking Ford Taurus. It's just those pieces that fit into my life as part of this fucking movie.
And of course he gets this massive fucking Christmas tree. You get the scene where they're driving with the tree hanging over both ends of the fucking car. Get home. I always knew that she was in this movie, but you see the Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I'm looking at this. I'm like, does she age at all? You look at her in this movie, you look at her in Seinfeld, you even look at her in a lot of the stuff she's doing today. She looks the fucking same.
Yeah, she's
like
she's ageless.
Yeah, where even compare her to Chevy Chase. You know how they say men normally age better than women? Bullshit.
Nope,
because you compare Chevy Chase in this to what he looks like fucking now, it's night and day.
Well, and I think she's younger than Chevy Chase is. I mean, in fairness, but I think what was really funny about these characters, the yuppie characters, the next door neighbor yuppies, with their fucking like the spacesuits on, jogging, driving a fucking Saab, because at the time a Saab was one of those like elitist cars.
Yeah,
right. You could have a Mercedes or you could have a Saab, the Swedish engineered Saab, which is stuff that I picked up on right away. It's like, oh yeah, okay, here's their fucking house. Here's her wearing this goddamn tinfoil fucking clothes, driving their fucking Saab, compared to the 1989 family truckster. It's just from a period. This is a perfect period piece for that time, because it's a snapshot of what it was in 1989.
Yeah. Like
we're going to talk about it here in probably a second, but when he's in the mall, when Chevy Chase is in the mall doing that whole sequence with the fucking lingerie model, that the fucking mall, that was where it was at in those days, like for Christmas shopping, everything else, like that hustle and bustle of shopping, everything else, everything happened at the mall.
Yeah, and I do miss that. I do miss those days in the mall. But before we get to that, there was a perfect line where Clark was talking to Ellen, which, by the way, I love their relationship in this movie. The one between Clark and Ellen, like he's always got these grandiose ideas and she tries to like ground him a little bit, just kind of like, hey, and she had this one great line. It's like, I know how you can build these things up, in your life.
When have I ever done that?
Right. And I mean, I did the same thing.
Oh yeah.
Dude, like I'm guilty of that so many times where at the end of the day, all I'm trying to do is like have a nice family vacation or do something nice with the family. And I build it up, and then if something little goes wrong, it eats at me.
Yeah.
So I can certainly relate to.
We glossed over one of there's some epically classic lines in this movie. At least for me.
Sure.
One of the ones is we're just going to talk directly about lines that are used in my house in perpetuity, right?
Uh-huh.
So they get the giant fucking tree that they dug out of the ground, right?
Yep.
Put it on top of the fucking Ford Taurus, drove it back. He's got his fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre shit on. He trims the tree down to get it into the living room, which is still fucking enormous.
Yep.
Right. And so he's standing in there and he's getting ready to cut the thing, cut the limbs so that the tree will fall.
Yep.
He cuts it. This is the beginning of a sequence where so many fucking windows are broken. There's so many goddamn windows. Every single window in that fucking house is broken at some point.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of it. And you see Clark, he's in the tree and he's like, he's like, looks great. Little full, a lot of sap.
Yeah.
That fucking anything that's sticky in my house looks great. Little full, a lot of sap. Yeah, anything that's sticky. That's one of those that lands. It's that slapstick, because in that scene that you're talking about where he's building up the thing, they're reading People magazine, and reading magazines in bed.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's fucking the pages are all stuck to his fucking hand and shit. It's just it's so fucking funny.
Yeah. And yeah, I took note of that too. Just the couple reading magazines in bed.
Yeah.
Like, did they do that in the 80s?
Yeah.
Hey.
Magazines were a thing. Like I think we had Reader's Digest in my house growing up. And People magazine. We had Highlights. Did you have Highlights magazine when you were a kid?
No, but they always had those in like every doctor's office.
Yeah.
And
we actually got Highlights to the house for a little while.
Did you?
Which is weird.
Yeah.
Thinking back on it, it was strange.
Okay.
But, yeah. Anyway.
Then we have the whole thing with the lights, right? The Clark wanting to do up the house and lights like he's always wanted to. He gets Russ to help him out, and it's just this big whole sequence. But the best part was, the first night nothing turns on, right? So he's
drum roll,
yeah, and I think it was his dad that came up as like, well, one bulb goes out and the whole thing doesn't work, and I think that was true for older style lights. Obviously, that's not the case today. But
and the best part of that line is like after he gets everybody out in the fucking yard and in their pajamas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get another young what's her I can't think of her name right now. Audrey. Who
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, right? Pre fucking Natural Born Killers, right?
Yes.
She's out there saying, "I hope nobody drives by and sees me out in the yard, in the front yard in my pajamas." And then the father-in-law says, "If you know your father, he'll think nothing of it." Now he gets this whole build-up, and then he's like, trying to turn on the lights, and it doesn't turn on. His dad goes like, the one bulb thing, and he's like, "Oh well, if you need help, just let me know. I'll be inside asleep."
Yeah.
Another line used.
Well, and then he even asked us, he's like, "We checked every bulb, right?" He's like,
"Oh,
yeah,
certain of it." "Oh, would you look at the time?"
Yeah.
You gotta work in the morning, feed the hogs, the bills to pay.
Yeah.
Fucking Russ, who is a young
the fucking the Sheldon show.
The Sheldon show.
Yeah.
Fuck, why can't I think of it was also David in the Roseanne.
Yeah. But everybody knows him from fucking Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory.
Which, by the way,
that'll come up in the chat.
I mean, the Big Bang Theory had some funny moments, but overall, I was actually very insulted by that show because Big Bang Theory was what you would think a bunch of like rich fucking just like movie executives will think, let's make a show about a bunch of nerds. Like what do nerds do? They like comic books and they like Star Wars, and
this is a sidebar, by the way.
Mm.
If you're playing the drinking game. So when I worked in the computer firm, right, where we were building machines and had 5 different bosses and TPS reports and shit like that.
Yeah.
There was definitively the nerd fiefdom in that building. Like we were all nerds.
Sure.
Like the config techs to the NIC techs to the software engineers, the MCSEs and everything else. But like that's where you were able to actually go in there and you'd be able to make those defining lines. Like if you had 4 of us that were living together at one point, it would have been like that. It would have been, here's our toys, Here's like, here's what we like to watch. Not obviously not so eccentric, right?
Right.
And maybe not physics and shit like that. But
yeah, those motherfuckers don't have time.
Apparently they do.
Yeah.
My daughter's dating one.
All right, fair enough.
But the perspective of that, like that was not that unrealistic to me because I've seen it. I've seen the layers of that where I was in that layer where I was more into sports and doing stuff that was more athletic and drinking a lot.
Right.
But that's where my introduction to Magic the Gathering was due to that group. And you had the guys who were making their Quake servers to have T1 lines to their fucking houses at a time when it's like, so I've seen the stratification of the nerds, and I can tell you that it's not as far off as you might think.
All right. Cause I mean, I always grew up knowing I was a pretty nerdy guy, but seeing like this over exaggerated presentation of nerds in this show, I'm like, come on.
They at that level they have money, but they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So they're spending it on toys and comics and shit like that. In fact, ask Rick.
Yeah.
he's in the chat right now. Ask him how many toys he has.
So the next night when Clark finally gets the lights on, that was the best part of the whole lighting sequence for me, was when he's fucking around with it, goes in the house, somebody turns on the light in the garage.
His mother.
Yeah.
You see all the fucking, so all of those connections. I'm gonna go. You've already know. If you're listening and you're in the chat right now, you already know that I've done this.
If you've daisy chain multiple.
You're daisy chaining all this shit together. You have this outlet that has the outlets on it, and there's a little bit of smoke, just a little bit.
You move it a little bit, you hear zzz, zzz.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, get this, lean this, or maybe I could separate that a little bit more.
Yeah.
And having so many fucking lights on the house. Like, I've been on the roof with the fucking staple gun. I've done all of this. The only thing I haven't done is fallen, thank God.
Yeah.
But I've done all of this shit. So the idea of it being on a Switch is so 100% accurate. But the guy, he's like this biochemist, right? He works in a fucking company. He made a non-nutritive cereal varnish, right? It coats and anyway. So he's a smart guy. He has the fucking piece of paper with all the shit laid out on, which I have done.
Yeah.
Where you lay out all this is where all the connections are. So that if one thing goes bad, you can go and fucking isolate that, take that line out, and all the bulbs and everything else. All of it. And then it comes down. The smartest person in the world can still be fucking befuddled by one goddamn switch.
Yeah.
Some random fucking switch in the garage. Which one of my favorite sequences, like you're talking about, when they flip the switch and the meter starts spinning. That was my introduction to meters.
Oh, really?
I had no idea what an electrical meter did. Like, if you look at it, like you notice that it's spinning.
Yeah, you see the things going, and you're like, what is this?
Yeah, like what exactly is that doing? Well, as it turns out, that's from that point forward, whenever I look at a meter and if it's spinning faster, I know we're too much. We're using too fucking much.
Yeah.
These days it's all digital now. But back in the day, that was my introduction to the fucking meter, and then nuclear power.
Yeah.
Right. Everything was on a nuclear power. So to hit that fucking auxiliary switch, you had that sound. Oh my God. Fucking, it's so good. So good.
Yep. And then, of course, there was some back and forth. Like Clark would come out, and then the lights would go out again because they turned the light switch off.
What the fuck? breaking the fucking antlers. Fun fact: when he was breaking the antlers and the Santa
He's
shit,
like karate chopping them.
Yeah, he fucking actually hurt. He like broke his finger or something.
Oh, really?
While he was doing that, so he did it, and he had to like keep doing it and keep like going into the scene because otherwise it would have been like, fuck.
Yeah.
So he actually hurt himself while he was fucking doing that.
Nice. Punching
Santa, fucking breaking all the shit. I haven't gone that far, but I've definitely rage quit on some of that shit.
Yeah. And then of course he does the last thing. And then of course Ellen figured it out. You see that scene where she's like sitting there, she's thinking, she's like, wait a minute. And then she realizes as he's like doing one last and everything comes on. Hallelujah.
It's fine. It's such a just a good culmination scene of such fucking nonsense.
Yep.
Because we didn't talk about while he was on the roof, the breaking of the fucking before they get the lights on.
Oh, when he broke the gutter?
Yeah, when he's hanging off the gutter, the fucking gutter shit slides off. The projectile goes through the fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus window.
Yeah.
And fucking something had to break the windows. Something had to hit the stereo.
Yeah, because it was the ice that was like gathered in the gutter, and
why is the carpet all wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot. It's that these are the lines. These are the perfect fucking lines.
But this led to one of the best sequences where he's all happy, he's crying, and he's going to each person and hugging them, and then he goes up to Eddie, which was a great introduction to that character in this movie.
Eddie?
Yeah.
If I woke up with my head sewn to the carpet, I want to be more surprised than I am right now.
Yeah, which, like I said, Eddie was a few members of my family growing up. So
Merry Christmas. Shitter's full. You check our shitters, honey? That sequence, we had a gingerbread contest at the Squadron, like gingerbread house thing. They had a contest for it.
Mm-hmm.
One of the people entered like the Griswold house with a Lego RV in front with a Lego figure that said "Shitter's full."
Nice.
It didn't win.
Oh,
it didn't fucking win. It was the biggest travesty of the decade that fucking gingerbread house didn't win.
Probably offended somebody.
No, well, there was some some kiss ass one that had a fucking KC-10 on top of it or some shit like that. I'm like, all right, then, whatever. Just stop kissing ass. This one's fucking brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
that's too bad.
So, I can see you broke up about it.
Yeah. Oh god. Had a nice throwback to the first vacation again, where they're drinking out of the Marty Moose glasses with the eggnog. So that was a good little throwback to fans of the original.
Drop you off in the middle of nowhere, leave you for dead.
Kristen and I had an interesting conversation because a big side story in this movie was the Christmas bonus, the bonus checks, and what he was going to use it on, which was the pool. And we're like, a pool in Chicago? Like, you're going to get a month and a half, 2 months worth out of it?
Listen, and we've flown over all these houses, like even in this area, pool. Like, I've had a pool. I grew up with a pool. It really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because you're only getting a good month and a half out of it before it's either too fucking hot to be outside or it's too cold.
Right.
There's the sweet spot is so small, it doesn't make any sense to have a pool. But when you have it, you enjoy it.
Sure.
And that's probably it's as much of a status symbol as anything. But no, I could totally as a kid growing up with a pool, it made sense to me. Not an in-ground pool like that, but just having a pool in general.
Right. So yeah, no, we had a funny conversation about that. Just like, how much use would they really get out of this thing? Lots more stuff happens in between. My notes kind of stopped with Clark's meltdown towards the end when he realizes he's not getting his bonus, when he was in the Jello Club instead.
Jelly of the Month Club.
Jelly of the Month Club. Right. Sorry, my mistake.
Jesus. God, you're brutal. You're just brutal.
It's like, I have only seen this movie a handful of times. Again, his meltdown during this was again very similar to the one he had in the first vacation, which I've seen that movie a ton of times.
Right.
Where he has this fucking breakdown in the car, and he's
right here.
You're gonna be singing "Zippity Doo Dah" out your assholes,
Right here. Tell him what a no good lying funker.
Now, the funny thing about that part where he says that about his boss, I remember the first time I watched this movie ever, right? And he said that. And I didn't pick up on what was going on at first.
Right.
I kind of saw Eddie's thing or his RV leave and like, okay, that's weird. Didn't really think much about it. And then I distinctly remember him reading the
last minute gift ideas.
Yeah.
Bring Frank Shirley right here.
Yeah. And then, him reading the Night Before Christmas and looking over, and there's Eddie.
And Eddie.
Dragging the boss, kicking him in the ass.
Pajamas. What the hell?
Yeah.
It's that sequence too, like that explosion sequence is me at some point any part of the season, the Christmas season, like either trying to get lights set up or trying just whatever. I have like one of these fucking seasonal meltdowns, and it's usually in that style. Like, and in 1989 or 90, whenever you first see this, and I was like freshman in high school, right? And so the cursing wasn't really a thing. I had seen Spaceballs fucking 150 times by then, but the sequence of just the one sequence of fucking just nonsense and cop it off with hallelujah, holy shit, where's the Tylenol? All right, I've finished almost every one of my little fucking rants with the where's the Tylenol, and that's one of those things that sequence, because I'd seen it so many times. I think that's why my brain kind of defaults to a meltdown sequence like that, because once it's because after that, like, we could break this down. Honestly, I could break this movie down like scene by scene, but after the meltdown, right, and they get back into the house, and the dog is already tore the fuck out of the thing, right? Mm-hmm. They had the bullshit fucking the dinner, or the turkey was too dry, and like which has happened at any fucking family event where somebody overcooks the turkey or some shit like that, and you're like you're trying to pretend like you can fucking eat it, and every sequence that goes into that, we've all had that family moment, right? You have the Eddie in the family. Mm-hmm. It's having those moments of the family get together where it's reached that point. The fucking dog gets into the trash. There's a fucking squirrel in the house, or a bird. Mm-hmm. We've had birds in the house before. And it's like so much of that. When I was a freshman in high school, I could put into like, God, we've lived in every one of these sequences at some point in my life. And then I've lived it again subsequently. Yeah. And I always, afterwards, I'm at you're at the cooler and you're drinking fucking, eggnog or whatever after meltdown, trying to calm down. And it's just, I have that moment. I have that Clark Griswold moment. And this is where the line from Clark's dad is, he's talking about the Clark's like, all of our family, all of our, all our holidays were such a disaster. How did you get through it? And then he goes, I had a lot of help from Jack Daniels. Yeah. I didn't know what that line meant. Even when I first saw it, it took me years to figure out that that's what it was talking about, was fucking getting loaded on fucking whiskey. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more fucking sense now. Yeah. But yeah, there's as you look at this movie, and it's, I think when in contrast to what,
could you try again?
Shut up, bitch. You're looking at it from like Clark's perspective as a fucking family guy trying to do all this, as opposed to kid's perspective. But it's that family perspective that we've all probably been in that situation at some point before. Mm-hmm. Whereas what I'll tell you about the Christmas Story is that I was not a child of the 50s, so I didn't have that frame of reference.
But I mean, it's still, at least to me, there were a lot of similarities to me as a child in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of the same like longings and things that you wanted for Christmas, things you were looking forward to, but we'll get to that. All right. To close out Christmas Vacation, the only other note I had was about Beverly D'Angelo, still quite boneable in this movie. Oh, yeah. She was getting older in age, but
in the scene where they broke the rest of the movies, and the SWAT team is coming through, mm-hmm. and it basically swinging through all the fucking shit, and they like freeze, and she's got her hand like on his balls. She totally like that was
like an improv.
Yeah, it was improv.
Nice,
through that whole sequence, and then she goes and
shakes and then puts it right back on. Well, and
welcome to our home. Yeah, what's left of it.
The funny thing about that is, I was waiting for that because I knew that scene was happening. The first couple of shots that you get of them, you don't see her hand. You can see her arm kind of down there, but it's from like the high waist and up.
Yeah, she's got that blouse on that's like open like this.
Yeah. But they don't see that. But then later on, when the wife walks in or whatever, you get that wide shot.
Right.
And then you see it's her with her hand on his crotch the whole time.
If you listen, if you have to watch it again, you listen, you can actually hear the sound of her hand cupping the balls when she puts it back on there. You can actually hear it.
Nice.
Yeah, shit. Like the newel post. Bronco Fett brings up, fix the newel post after he's in the house with the fucking chainsaw. Yeah, I didn't know what a newel post was. That's how I learned what a newel post was.
Yeah,
from this movie.
Yeah, as he's having another meltdown at that point. Just okay.
Yep, we're just gonna go ahead and I could literally break this down scene by scene, but we don't have that kind of time.
No,
I think the big thing at the end of this was a comedy. This was a straight slapstick comedy.
Yes.
Meant to entertain an older audience.
Yeah.
You know, I think with the Christmas Story, like, you know, not necessarily, I wasn't necessarily a child of the 50s, but I think that movie was probably placating to the same audience as Christmas Vacation, but just in two different ways.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can tell you from my perspective growing up. First of all, I didn't see A Christmas Story until I was in high school. So it had already been out for like 9-10 years before I actually ever saw it for the first time. Like, I don't know about you, but I actually remember when I first saw A Christmas Story, because you know how when you're in school and you're getting close to the fucking holidays, like Christmas break, like for us, it was 2 weeks straight for Christmas and New Year's, like 2.5 weeks, I think. By the time you're getting to the end, like, especially if you did midterms the week before your Christmas vacation started, that last week before you actually go on vacation, you're not doing anything in any of your classes.
Yeah.
And this is when the teachers just be like, fucking throw on a movie, you know? So you'd get a lot of that during that last week before, Christmas vacation. And I remember freshman year of high school, my English class, Mr. Orr, great guy, by the way. He was the English and the drama teacher, though I'm fairly convinced that he was fucking some of the drama students, but I have no proof of this. Sorry, Mr. Orr. But anyway, he put on A Christmas Story freshman year for English class. So we watched it over the course of like 3 days. And it was the first time I'd ever seen it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. And it really resonated with me as, you know, somebody who was no longer like a little kid who was, you know, looking forward to Christmas, but that stuff was like, it was right there in the rear view.
And you're sitting in the classroom too.
Yeah.
So that probably helps.
Yeah.
You know, because you get these sequences where he's in the classroom when he goes out to
where's Flick?
Yeah, where's Flick? And you're like,
Flick, who's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but because this is shown through the eyes of a kid, I feel like I saw this like right at a time when that was still fresh in my mind. This is why it resonated so much with me. And, you know, I had these moments even just a few years before that, seeing it for the first time, where, you know, getting an NES for Christmas was like, that was my Red Ryder BB gun.
Right.
I think it was Christmas of '88, right? The NES had been out for a year or two. I knew some people that had it. I had, you know, luckily gotten to play it a couple of times at some people's houses, but it was still like this big pie in the sky kind of thing. And that was my Red Ryder BB gun moment, was an NES for Christmas of like 87 or 88.
Mine was the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
The Millennium Falcon. Not this gigantic one that's back here, but, you know, when that toy originally had come out, that was fucking big. That was big. And it was like at that watershed, like, this is what Christmas is about moment. To that point, I can remember, this is where the cynical Dave of today is a lot different than in the past. Because growing up, we had setting up for Christmas was an entire thing.
Yeah.
Right. Getting the tree up. We had this platform that we put out. We put out a platform. It would have a felt covering. The tree would go on top of the platform. So when Christmas was getting ready to start, like you're talking about with getting into the breaks, the furniture would get moved. So as the furniture would start to move to make room for the platform to go in there. So when the platform was getting ready to go in there, you know, fucking Christmas was getting ready.
Yeah.
We had a fake tree. So as soon as the platform was up, then you could get the tree up. And then the whole act of decorating and everything else. So it was a whole process that went over a course of weeks, and it just culminated into the gifts. And for me, the Millennium Falcon, the Walkman.
Ooh.
A Walkman with the belt clip. Oh no, with the strap. It had the fucking strap going around.
Yeah.
I got these small die-cast tanks. Like, and it just, like, you see when they're opening the gifts with Ralphie and his brother, and you see him opens up a Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
That for me, I got these little tanks, and it was probably more appropriate for that age, and felt more like it was more about the presents, like, in the anticipation of the presents. Where, excuse me, as I got older, it was more the mechanics of Christmas. You know, Christmas goes from being, you know, we talk about why Kristen and Dave might be more cynical than somebody whose birthday is 4 days before Christmas. But,
Right.
It's the getting ready for Christmas is a job. It's a task.
Right.
And then Christmas is the culmination of that. And yeah, Christmas is still good, but getting to Christmas, giant pain in the nutsack.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it's different for me, because you think about the mom in A Christmas Story, right? You have that one very telling sequence where they're having dinner.
Right.
And Ralphie's like, my mom hadn't had a warm meal in 8 years or something like that.
Right.
That was pretty much my mom. Like growing up, my mom was fucking super mom. She did everything. And I want to say she probably did a majority of the setting up for Christmas and everything. So none of it really rested on mine or my siblings' shoulders.
Right.
We just got to enjoy the fruits of her labor. So, and even the very first scenes, because you mentioned when we first started how Christmas Vacation was more about the buildup, where I think it's the same story with A Christmas Story. Because where does it start? It starts in that department store display, right?
Right.
That's the opening
out in front of Gimbals.
Yes. So I feel like, this goes into just as much of the buildup towards Christmas as Christmas Vacation does. And it starts, like I said, with that department store display. And that's when I go back into my own mind and I look at my exaggerated version of the past. I think about the Christmas season as a kid, and it feels like it was so long every year.
Yeah.
Growing up, where it feels like the Christmas season just lasted forever. Like, for weeks you'd go into the mall and it'd be Christmas music and decorations and all of this stuff. And
lines going into the Santas.
Yeah.
To be with Santa. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. Especially when we were younger, when we didn't have anything to fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
We had no responsibility.
Yeah.
For that. We just like, oh, here we are at the mall, or here we are. I was always in the fucking corral when I was a kid, so I'd be in the mall fucking singing Christmas carols at some point.
Yeah.
Which is just another day that I wasn't in school because we'd be in the mall during the day singing Christmas carols.
Yeah. Christmas parades. My town would always have like a local Christmas parade every single year. I was actually in it a couple of times.
So around here, when they do even without COVID, you have basically the Santa being the fire truck and kind of drive around the neighborhood. Did you guys have that too, or just the parade?
Yes. Yeah, okay. We did have a version of that where somebody dressed as Santa would come would drive through the neighborhoods. But I actually remember one year my parents hired a Santa to come to our house.
Shut up.
Like, we've got pictures of Santa and Mrs. Claus, full garb, coming into our house, talking to us.
Wow.
We've taken pictures with them.
You must have been bad that year. Santa has to show up to the house, man. I mean, you must have been fucking.
I was a great kid. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I think my parents did not appreciate how good of a kid I was.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I had no such illusions.
Yeah. But fuck, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, the build-up towards Christmas. So another reason why this movie resonates with me so much is because of that build-up, because I feel like the Christmas seasons were just like a huge experience that lasted a long time. And when you watch this movie, you get that feeling too, because it starts with the department store. Mm-hmm. They have the one day with the parade, then going to the mall, waiting to sit in Santa's lap, which, the fucking Santa in this movie, fucking classic.
Ho, ho, ho.
And, they don't even try to not break the fourth wall, where he's basically leans over to the guy. If they want me to work past 7 o'clock, you can kiss my ass or kiss my foot, right. So they're giving no illusions that this is like any kind of a real Santa. Like, it's just some disgruntled fucking guy. It's like, I hate the smell of tapioca. He just wants to get these fucking kids in and out. But, and I really think they nailed the whole put the kid on Santa's lap and they immediately scream, right? Because how many pictures have you seen of kids and babies sitting in Santa's lap just fucking crying or hysterical?
What other time, like as Americans, I guess, like I'm not saying humans, but Americans, you spend an entire lifetime telling kids not to talk to strangers, and then once a year you're going to fucking stand in line to go sit with a stranger.
Yeah,
I don't even know. I can't even tell you at what age. I think this calls into play too. Like, so Ralphie is what age in this movie?
If I had to guess, I'd say probably 10.
So at some point around that age, like even Ralphie's talking about how Santa may or not be a thing, but he's going to hedge his bets, basically.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, because he took all other avenues, tried to like subvert with his parents, with the fucking advertisements, tried to do it with the teacher and the essay.
Right. What? No, it wasn't an essay. It was
a
called
theme.
A theme.
Yes.
Oh!
And yeah, all of those didn't work. So it was like, fuck, I'll try Santa.
Yeah. And so at that age where you're like, it's the Santa thing's kind of bullshit, but you have younger siblings, so you still have to kind of buy into it.
Yeah, you got to play along. Yeah, even though it's kind of
you can't ruin it. I know my kids; they were like genuinely like, "Why the fuck would you lie to us about this for so long?" Like, it didn't make any sense to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Like they were like legitimately angry
if you talk to Caitlin about her her experience finding out that Santa didn't exist, apparently it was hugely traumatic. I don't even remember, honestly. It's like okay.
Any idea when that happened? Like how old was she?
I don't remember.
See, because for me, it's one of those things that you just kind of figure out on your own. You get to a certain age, at least for me, like I never had any like older kids being like, "Oh, Santa's bullshit." It was never like that. It was just more over time. You're like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
Oh, I get it now.
We don't have a chimney.
Yeah.
Like, how does this chimney work? Like, we have a chimney, but it doesn't connect to a fireplace. Like, how?
I remember having that conversation with my parents. I'm like, "Well, how is Santa going to get in? We live in an apartment. We don't have a chimney." They're like, "Well, he'll come through the front door."
That's magic.
Magic.
Yeah. Magic was always the answer.
Yeah, no. They specifically told me, well, he'll let himself in through the front door. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. We're going to let a complete stranger in. Well, why not? He comes here once a year, so it's obviously it's cool. He's got a red coat on. It's fucking classic.
What could go wrong?
Yeah. I think for me, getting the kind of the moment for me was when my sisters I was old enough to help with Christmas, so like folding gifts and stuff like that. So it's like you participated in the Santa bit of that, but it was like you start getting a little bit of like cynicism towards the holiday because, like I said, for me, it kind of Christmas turned into work,
right?
So I wasn't able to enjoy it for what it was. I did enjoy the fucking time off. Holy shit, that was the best part of it.
Yeah, it's the highlight of your year as a kid.
Yeah, it's it was the longer break besides the summer. Like we had long summer breaks. I don't know in California.
It's about the same, just shifted like 2 weeks in a different direction.
So I know like my sister down in North Carolina, like their breaks are shorter and they have more breaks, I guess, but they start school like their summer break is real short. So it's really weird.
Yeah.
But I know for the Christmas break, I remember like it always seemed like there was snow to sled on, right? But I don't remember a lot of snow. Just remember sledding, not having to go to school and fucking sledding and shit like that. It's the mist of
mystique.
Yeah, whatever. We're insert word here, but for A Christmas Story, as watching it. Yeah, you pick up on some of that stuff. Like we're talking about the experience of it, right? For me, it's more of A Christmas Story is a fun movie.
Yeah,
right. It's fun. It's a period movie to me because of the way the house is set up with the fucking the fuses and the heater that's always breaking down and the car with cars got flats all the time back in those days, and then the whole introduction to the F word and eating soap. That all took place in a period that your parents kind of described to you, and that gave you an opportunity to kind of see it, what it would have been like back then.
Yeah.
But none of that really resonated with me as much as A Christmas Story means that it's like official. Like it's officially Christmas.
Okay.
Because when it's on all the fucking time, then it's like it's getting really close.
Sure.
Like if you don't have your shit together, like if the tree's not up or the fucking stockings aren't hung or the presents aren't wrapped and Christmas Story's on all the fucking time, you're going to be late.
That's the season's reminder to get your shit together.
Get on your fucking shit and start getting this done because as it gets closer, and for us at our house, Christmas Story was opening presents, and first thing in the morning, boop, that would go on.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the same boat. Now we're disconnected, but we have it on DVD. Like we can still put it on for nostalgia's sake.
Oh yeah,
but it's that was the difference between the two movies. Is A Christmas Story was entertaining, but I'm entertained by Christmas Vacation.
Sure. And I think that's sort of the real big question for this. It's like which one's the better Christmas movie versus which one's the better movie. Now, some people would say, one of them is both. Right. For me, I think there's a difference. For me, I think Christmas Vacation is a better movie in general. If you look at it as a whole, as a film production, Christmas Vacation is better. But if you're looking at Christmas movies, to me, A Christmas Story is just a better Christmas movie.
So
in general,
let's play an association game. My cousin Rick brought up. So my Aunt Debbie, sidebar. My Aunt Debbie wrote a letter to my daughter from one of Santa's elves. Wrote it like in calligraphy on fucking parchment paper. Nice. Showed it to the fucking house. Scared the shit out of my fucking daughter. And I think that was the beginning of the end.
Oh, sorry, I missed. Kevin Green died. Saw that in the chat earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know what to make of that.
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, continue. Didn't mean to derail you there.
No. Let's play a quick association game, right?
Okay. So you said, your Aunt Debbie wrote a letter.
Oh, yeah. I don't know all the details of that, but there was letters written. They had an impact on my daughter, like thinking that these were really from because it came from no recognizable handwriting. It showed up in the mail. Like why would your parents put something in the mail? You lived there, right? So as a kid, you never would think of that. So it shows up in the mail with a postmark with fucking different handwriting. Obviously, identifying the fact that you were being naughty and for purposes of that. For you, this is what I want you to do. We're going to say A Christmas Story versus Miracle on 34th Street.
Now, do I
a Christmas movie?
Do I have to have seen Miracle on 34th Street to answer these questions?
No.
Okay, perfect. Because I've never seen Miracle on 34th Street.
Just okay. That doesn't surprise me. Have you seen It's a Wonderful Life?
Negative.
Not once all the way through.
I've seen the ending scene where the fucking bell's ringing and the angel gets its wings or whatever dumb shit, but that's the extent.
You probably saw that part of it in Home Alone.
Probably, yeah. Which Home Alone I've seen dozens of times.
Right. So I would say that those are traditional Christmas movies.
Yes.
Right. Miracle on 34th Street. What about you've seen Scrooged?
Yep.
Right. Have you seen what was the Mickey Mouse version of?
It was Mickey's A Christmas Carol.
Yeah. So you've seen that one?
Yeah.
See, that's apples and oranges. Like I'm trying to figure out. So A Christmas Story to me would be like if it's telling a traditional Christmas like story, right? How it compares to other traditional Christmas stories.
I mean, if I had to, I would lump it in with those more traditional ones than I would A Christmas Vacation or a Scrooged.
I think the difference. Each one of those stories is trying to tell you like this. It has this bigger moral, right? For It's a Wonderful Life, it's about like that you are more important to people than you realize. Like it's this big thing. Like there's a whole story behind that. Jimmy Stewart, like he was a fucking a war hero, right? He flew
like for real,
yeah, in the 8th Air Force. He was a fucking bomber pilot.
Nice,
and he had this horrific fucking PTSD. Horrific. So he legitimately, like when he was filming that movie, all these scenes where you see him and he's just like he's sullen and depressed and everything else. This was him acting out what he had with PTSD. So it's as much a movie about somebody who's been through that level of trauma and finding a way through it as anything. Like, yeah, Jimmy Stewart's fucking phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, he's a retired general. He retired as a 1-star.
No shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Had no idea.
Yeah. So yeah, but that there's this larger moral in the story. Same like Miracle on 34th Street and everything else. It's like all of these. Here's my problem. all of these Christmas movies that my wife watches, and that's the Hallmark Channel makes all this money on. It's all these unrealistic stories start to drive me insane. Start to drive me insane. I don't get it. I don't get the message out of that. Like with Christmas Vacation, I don't have to get the message.
Right.
I'm just being fucking. It's just funny.
Well, I feel like A Christmas Story is the same way. There's no overarching message in that.
You'll shoot your eye out. I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, that is the overarching message.
Well, it is, because that gets played over and over, which it's great, by the way. But no, I think it's just a fun watch. It's not, we're going to teach you something by the end of this movie. No, we're just going to kind of show you what this guy's perspective is of his childhood growing up. This one year he wanted the fucking Red Ryder BB gun. And it's just, again, that exaggerated look of what it was like to be a kid. He even had a great line where I think it was right after he had gotten bullied by the Scott Farkas. And they beat feet out of there. And he's like, oh, the mind of a kid, things change rapidly, because he immediately runs home to get his fucking little orphan Annie decoder pin. So he's immediately forgotten about the Scott Farkas incident and has just moved on.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah. But it's, it's the life of a kid, it's moving from moment to moment. Life's moving so fast. And
which movie? Well, all right, this is, again, not a fair comparison, because I doubt your kids have watched Christmas Vacation if you haven't watched it that often. But
we've tried to show it to them, and they just couldn't get into it.
They get into Christmas Story?
A little more, but not a whole lot.
Have you tried to give your kids the fuzzy bunny pajamas?
No.
No, never?
No.
I think that may have happened, or an attempt at that was made in my household.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
A crummy commercial. Son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly. And, honestly, I think A Christmas Story just had so many more quotable lines. Obviously, every fucking Christmas Vacation line.
That's tough to make that comparison. Like I said, you can't have A Christmas Story in the house for 24 hours without picking it up.
Oh, sure.
I've sit there plenty of times and watched 40 minutes of it here, and then go do something and then come back, and it's like, oh, look, I'm picking up basically right where I left off.
Yeah. And honestly, it carries on throughout the year for me for a lot of things, especially the Fragile. Anytime I see Fragile on a package,
Fragile.
that must be Italian.
Yes.
There
is a lot of good quotable stuff out of that. I will give it that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a Gen Xer out there right now that wouldn't see the word fragile and go fragile.
Yeah, that must be Italian. Yeah. So, and then we didn't even talk about the leg lamp, which, by the way, my mother has one of those leg lamps. I guess a friend of hers out in California gave it to her as a gift, and she's got it in her window right now.
I've seen an inflatable one on somebody's yard.
That's fucking great.
They have a leg lamp inflatable. Well, and what's really fun is they've done the same thing with Christmas Vacation, where they have the Clark Griswold house. Mm-hmm. They've taken that house where they filmed
the Christmas Story one, yeah.
And you can go take tours. And apparently you could stay there overnight if you wanted to.
Yeah. I remember when they were selling it fucking 15 years ago, there was a big story in the news oh yeah, the person who owns the house that Christmas Story was being filmed in is selling it because for whatever reason, I guess it was in disrepair and they needed a bunch of stuff. And whoever bought it fucking made the smart move, and they're like, shit, we're gonna turn this into an experience.
Yeah. And it's Indiana, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Chat fucking
Jamie, pull that up.
Yeah, correct us on where the fucking location of that house is, because I know the Griswold house was supposed to be in Chicago, suburban Chicago, but I think they did some exterior shots at one place, and then the rest of it was obviously in the sound studio.
Yeah.
With the potato flake fucking snow.
Oh, yeah.
Fake snow in both of those movies, right? Fake snow was big because I think both of them were filmed in the summertime. They weren't winter filming.
Right.
So they had these kids that are fucking all decked out and in their coats and shit.
They were probably sweating their fucking
balls off. And that was the thing. I'll give Christmas Story credit. that bundling experience, like going out, like you had to like layer upon layer upon layer. Like I remember having long johns, jeans, and ski pants, and then on my feet I'd have plastic bags. I have socks, plastic bags, and then the boots.
Get the fuck
would go
out.
on after that. And we'd go out sledding, and you'd start sweating your fucking nutsack off.
Yeah.
So I'd half of that shit. There'd be a bunch of kids in the neighborhood, and I luckily I grew up in an area of the woods where we could actually go and if it were snow, we could do legit sledding. Not like huge downhills, but enough where you could get down and fucking turn and fake crash all over the place, and it was fucking fun. And no adult could see you because you were in the woods. So
Sure, yeah.
fucking coats are off and fucking all that shit.
And see, that's the thing that I had no frame of reference for growing up in Southern California.
It's true.
First of all, I saw snow maybe twice before I joined the Air Force.
Wow.
In my entire life. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So you saw snow on TV before you really ever saw it in person.
Oh, yeah. No, like I said, I saw snow in person. One time we drove up into the mountains one winter. There are some mountain areas in California. We drove up into an area where there was snow on the ground.
Right.
And then I think there was one freak storm that went through my hometown that dropped some snowflakes. And that was it.
Probably shut the town down. Like,
Probably.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I mean, I was in elementary school at the time, but yeah, that was it. That was my only frame of reference for any kind of physical touching of snow until I joined the Air Force and they stationed me out in fucking New Jersey.
The chat pulls through. Scott Rasmussen said the Crystal Story House is located in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right, but I don't know if that's where it was supposed to have actually taken place in this fictional world.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think you were closer to
the
Indiana part. Yeah. So anyway, let's kind of wrap this up. We've been going for a while now, and I'd like to do a couple of things in the house for my birthday before I have to go to bed and start the next day.
Sure, whatever.
But to kind of wrap it up, I think it's really dependent on the person, the individual, and what aspects of these movies that they really relate to. Mm-hmm. Be it, I could totally see you being that Clark, having the fucking meltdowns and just
overdoing it all the time,
being the Clark. And honestly, I see a lot of myself in that as well. But for me personally, the Christmas story has just more personal meaning, right? Because I still look back very fondly on my time as a kid going through the Christmas seasons and just enjoying it. And I feel like that was closer to my existence than the Christmas Vacation.
I think you hit on it really early in this pod where you talk about this, because your birthday is so close to Christmas. Mm-hmm.
It made the season especially good for me.
And I did not have that. But I think even with difference in temperature and everything else, like when you're a kid, I think it's a lot easier to have the Christmas Story experience than it is Christmas Vacation experience.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's Christmas Vacation is something that you really appreciate more and more as you get older, I think. Because again, it's told from the perspective of the adult, from Clark. So
the chat comes through again. The film is set in Holman, Indiana. Fictionalized version of Jumping Hometown near Hammond near Chicago.
So very similar to the areas that they're supposed to take place in, close to Chicago. But and apparently Christmas Vacation won in the chat polls. So
thank you, Lunar Girl, for taking care of that for me.
Which I think it's not really fair because
why the chat?
No, the Escape Pod guys, they did a fucking Christmas Vacation show last week, so they were already biased towards it.
I did not watch that episode of the Escape Pod just because I didn't want it influencing me in any way. Not that it would have. I mean, I came into this with preconceived notions of what I knew was better.
And anyway. I think we both knew going into this which way we were each going to lean, but it was still a fun discussion.
Absolutely.
And
it's fucking Christmas.
And it's never really about who's right unless you're making a bet about Luke Skywalker or Jim Harbaugh. But
you're going to lose that Harbaugh bet.
The rest of the time, it's not about who's right. It's more about the conversation and the dialogue.
Yeah, whatever.
Man, they're still bitter about that.
Whatever. Fucking Skywalker.
I still hold on. Wait.
Oh, you got them nice and moist now. You're
Yeah,
fucking.
Hold on. Oh no, they're still
crinkly.
Oh,
Are they still
listen to that.
crinkly?
That's $2 in my pocket. Thank you, Luke Skywalker.
Oh, man.
So
Whoa. Supergirl.
Oh.
Fucking half of Christmas Vacation isn't even worth watching. It's an inferior movie. Whatever.
We actually had this discussion the other night when we were watching this, because Christmas Vacation starts off really strong, but it does slow down pretty significantly. You know, it hits you pretty fast with a lot of the laughs. But, you know, like a lot of movies, it's not just Christmas Vacation. A lot of movies taper off.
Oh, yeah. It's a movie in the 80s where they had to have some filler. Like the entire sequence of him sitting in the attic watching his fucking films.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, two things about that scene. The first one is when those fucking did you have a set of those stairs?
We have one in our house right now.
Okay. Have you tried to get out of it when the fucking stairs are up?
I've never been locked into our attic. No.
You should try it because that shit will not go.
Really?
Like you can just jump on it. In fact is, I think Rick was there at my grandmother's house. I was fixing the spring on those stairs, and I got the fucking spring loaded back in. I couldn't get out. I couldn't get out of the fucking thing. So that part of it was plausible. The part where stepping through the fucking the floor. I grew up. My room was in the attic, so I knew that you couldn't step on anything except the fucking the
cross beams there.
Yeah. But then like hitting himself with the fucking wood. But sitting there after he already busted the fucking ceiling open, falling through, fucking climb out. What the fuck's wrong with you, dude?
Yeah, no, I was thinking that too watching it this time. You know, just like lay down, bust a little bit more through. Yeah. You've already got to redo the full fucking ceiling at that point.
You've already destroyed it, and you destroyed that fucking incredible poster. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
But oh no, the sweaters. Like he puts on this ridiculous outfit, but there's like you see in the initial sequence, there's sweaters hanging from fucking clothes. There are definitely parts of Christmas Vacation where I will give you that.
Yeah,
there's some continuity errors and shit like that.
And continuity errors I don't really care about so much, but it was just really the tempo of the movie.
It did
really kind of slowed down at that point.
You know, it got better to the end.
Not to say that there's not moments in A Christmas Story like that too, but it really sort of dragged down the experience for us.
I got to eat so I could take my back bill. I'm sure Clark wants to come shopping and have lunch. That's that back pill line.
Mm-hmm.
I probably use that daily. I've got to eat so I can take my back pill.
Oh, that's great.
That's the John actually fucking says that to me all the time.
Does he?
Yeah.
That's great. Good shit.
All right, let's get signed off so you can get to your birthday.
Yeah. So next week we're gonna do our own special end of year / New Year's special. So I know a lot of podcasts, YouTube channels, TV shows, news stations, they're all going to do these fucking shitty countdowns where they're going to talk about all the bad things that have happened in 2020 that we've been talking about nonstop since March. It's going to be a lot of fucking COVID talk. It's going to be a lot of presidential election talk. We're not doing any of that shit. We're doing our own top 5 lists, and it's basically our top 5 of 2020. Top 5 good things that came out of this year for us.
Okay.
We're not going to dwell on the bad. You know, let fucking everybody else talk about all the negative shit. We've talked fucking COVID to death. Everybody's talked the fucking politics shit to death. So we're going to sidestep that. And we're just going to talk about the good stuff of 2020.
All right.
So
I like it.
So that's going to be our year-end
We're going to have a positive year-end to 2020.
Yes.
Because God only knows that fucking 2020 is probably going to be worse.
Yeah.
So we might as well end on a high note.
Indeed.
Arm wrestling next week? Probably not.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say no.
Yeah, we got to save that. We can't just do it for a random episode. We have to save it for a milestone.
Yeah, there has to be reasons.
Like maybe episode 25.
Maybe.
So
maybe. What's that? That's like late January.
Or if we hit a certain number of downloads, or maybe 100 fucking subscribers on YouTube.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Then that's it. I think that's what we need to do. We need to hit that 100 YouTube subscriber mark, and then we will arm wrestle.
Okay.
Live on YouTube. All right. To our 100 subscribers. So I leave that to you, good sir. Get us more subscribers, get us to 100 on our YouTube channel, and we will arm wrestle for you and your entertainment.
I can dig it.
I was just waiting to see if you'd say anything else.
Nope.
So that's it. Thanks everybody for joining us. We will be back next week with our year-end episode. Subscribe everywhere.
Yeah, subscribe everywhere to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, obviously. And I think we made the plug in the beginning. We'll make it again. If you're following us on the All Things Star Wars podcast channel, go over to From a Gen X Point of View podcast. Like, download, subscribe, do all the things over there. We need your support, like I said. And arm wrestling will occur once we get over 100 subs on YouTube. So I'm looking forward to that. Find our friends, the ATSW Skate Pod, Used and Abused. Those guys were in the chat today. Thank you very much, guys.
And apparently they're doing a double header on Wednesday night.
Nice.
Immediately following the Escape Pod, Used and Abused is going to go live.
Excellent.
On YouTube.
Excellent. So if you're available and you're not, hey, turn those guys on while you're wrapping presents.
Indeed.
And enjoy yourselves.
And give them a like and a subscribe too.
Yes, please. And you could also look for Big Swedes, Excellent Adventure, Tactical Swede.
All the Swedes.
All the Swedes. And find, we mentioned him earlier, but Keith Lehman on Layman's Terms on Facebook.
Yeah, unless he wins the fantasy league again. Then don't follow him.
Fuck him right in the ear. But yeah, go to podbelly.com, find us, link to us, do all the things. And actually, I meant to plug this earlier, but if you email us or reviews at genxpovpod@gmail.com, it's another way you can review us. I created an email address for that.
Wow.
I did that. I did that like a month ago.
Oh, well.
I keep forgetting to talk about it.
Well, we'll do that at the top of the show next week.
Yes. I added it to the bottom of the page of notes, and that should probably be closer to the top.
Yeah. At least for a couple episodes.
Yes. And oh, by the way, there will be swag. Swag is in the works. I showed Jason some concept of some stickers, and I anticipate some other stuff.
We do need to do coffee mugs because first of all, the fucking Escape Pod guys, they've spread their seed everywhere.
Yeah.
And they've just fucking jizzed all over everybody.
Right.
They've poached some of our listeners and they've fucking given them all kinds of free swag. So
Bastards.
I'm seeing their shit all over other people's Instagrams. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So we really need to.
They forgot where they came from. That's really what it comes down to.
That is, yeah.
They forgot where they came from.
No goddamn respect.
We'll take care of that though. We'll take care of those guys. So that's it.
All right, we're gonna close it up for real now. No after show today for those of you who are hoping to stay in the YouTube because we gotta break out.
Word.
But thanks, guys, and we love you. And
remember,
I thought you were gonna say something else. You had to look like you were gonna.
No, I'm waiting for you to say the line.
I know. Oh, and Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. However you choose to spend your time off, if you have it, enjoy your time. Enjoy your time with your family.
Yes,
and stay safe.
Yes, and remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click?
All right, and with that, we're turning off the YouTube as well.
Yep, go Orange and Fett Show.
Yeah,
on YouTube. You got to share that. Share that in the Sidebar Cantina. Make sure you put a link up.
Oh my God, we got a triple header on Wednesday.
Fucking hell!
Nice. Well done, guys.
They're all in different time zones.
Indeed. All right. Good night, everybody.
See ya.